Hi everyone, it's my pleasure again to be with you today. My name is Bola Adebisi. Today we are looking at the third in the series and the final really in the series of what we call entrepreneurial videos. And our topic today is what are the main regulatory bodies that entrepreneurs should know about and what do they do. As an entrepreneur, it is very, very important for you to know what are the bodies that govern the environment in which you operate. Whether you are a new startup or you have been in the operation for a long time, it's very important for you to know who makes the rules by which the business environment operates. And in looking at this topic, the first I will consider will be the Corporate Affairs Commission, that's the CAC. Essentially, this is the body set up by government that operates, that regulates formation of business name, limited liability company, public liability company, and even partnerships. Regulates their registration, how they form, you need to submit annual reports. All the gamut of setting up a business and running one is regulated and moderated by the Corporate Affairs Commission. It is very important for you to comply with most of the rules set by this body. Secondly, we'll be looking at another very, very important regulatory body in the economy, and that is the Federal Inland Revenue Services. Of course, they have their state counterparts. They regulate all activities having to do with the company income tax, value-added tax. Of course, the state authorities have their own tax too that deal with employee payroll taxes. This body is very important because it's important to the country. It's the source of funding the economy, and businesses have to comply with the rules regarding taxes to be paid, the value-added tax to pay, which is a consumption tax. This is also a very, very important body. Again, when we look at products and services in the economy having to do with standard and everything, we think of the next body I'm going to talk about, which is SON. That's acronym for Standards Organization of Nigeria. This body is responsible for ensuring that all products produced in Nigeria that are regulated by this body are up to the standard they're supposed to meet. For that reason, anybody who has a product, whether imported or locally manufactured, needs to obtain a certificate of compliance with SONCAP, what we call SONCAP. And the next body that we'll be looking at in terms of regulatory compliance with standards is NAFDAC. That's the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control. This is the body responsible for controlling the quality of food and drugs, meaning that all drugs and food to be manufactured or to be marketed in the country must be registered with NAFDAC, and they must have a NAFDAC registration number. Also, matters having to do with expiry, wholesomeness of food and drugs are regulated by NAFDAC. Of course, another very important body is the National Communications Commission. If you remember, a couple of years ago, when GSM licenses were to be issued to the operators, this is the body that issued the licenses. And they continue to issue licenses and regulate the performance of the communication sector in the economy. If you remember that recently, MTN, which is the leading operator in Nigeria, was fined for allowing unregistered SIM cards to be used, even when NCC has said they should be stopped. This is the kind of role that NCC performs in the economy as far as communication is concerned. The communication sector is very important to the economy. A part of the functions, allocation of spectrum for operators, radio, telecommunications is still the responsibility of the National Communications Commission. Another body that is important to a businessman, especially when you start to employ more than 5 persons, is the Pension Commission, also known as PENCOM. The law in Nigeria says that any company employ more than 5 persons must register with PENCOM and pay a certain amount, a particular amount every month as contributory pension for their employees. Of course, the employee pays a portion too. This money is paid to a pension fund administrator or a PFA, who now gives you the certificate of compliance and then allows PENCOM to issue you a certificate of compliance. Another very important body is the Industrial Training Fund, which is responsible for training of employees. Every company in the country is expected to contribute a certain amount into this body, which is used for training. Of course, if a company contributes, the company is also entitled to claim an amount spent for training from this body. Another very important one is the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, which is like a social insurance fund to which employers contribute every year too. So this is a very important body that is set up by law, and everybody running a business is expected to contribute. Another importance of knowing what are the regulatory bodies is the fact that when you want to do business with government, most of these bodies, most of them, you are expected to have certificate of compliance with them. Another important body that we should not forget to mention about is the Bureau of Public Enterprise, the Bureau of Public Procurement. The BPP is responsible for all acts of procurement by the public sector in Nigeria. We are looking at ministries, departments, agencies of government, both at federal and state level. The underlying law regulating procurement in Nigeria is controlled by the Bureau of Public Procurement. And they set the rules, allowing knowing to, okay, if you want to buy, if the department wants to buy this is what they must do. That's the body. Another important body that's becoming really very important is the Consumer Protection Council. The duty of this is probably close to some in terms of standard. This ensures that the average consumer is not cheated. If you produce a product and it's supposed to be 25 grams, they must find 25 grams in it. When consumers have any problem with the quality, wholesomeness of any product, whether produced locally or imported, the body they can complain to is the CPC, which is the Consumer Protection Council. It's becoming, they're giving a new lease of life, and it's becoming more active. So anybody in business should be aware that when you bring in products into the country, apart from Sun, there's another body to whom consumers can complain to if they are not happy with what has been offered them. The last one I would like to mention in terms of regulatory function is the SEC, that's Securities Exchange and Exchange Commission. This body is responsible for regulating companies that are quoted on the stock exchange. And companies that are public liability companies are quoted on the stock exchange. The law says that any company with more than 50 members should become a PLC. The rules of operation, the annual report, filing of their reports, holding of board meetings, holding of annual general meetings are regulated by SEC. And lateness in submitting your report, your financial report, is an offense punishable by fine, and even at a salary level, could result in imprisonment of directors. This is the SEC. Well, before I close, I'd like to talk about 4 other bodies that are kind of industry specific. Depending on the industry you operate in, there are some bodies that regulate activities in that particular sector of the economy. I will quickly look at the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, which regulates the practice of pharmacy profession in Nigeria. The qualifications, training institutions, the scope of training, and even registration of premises is under the purview of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, which invariably is like a body under the Federal Ministry of Health. Another important one that regulates medical profession in Nigeria is the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, MDCN. All activities relating to qualification, training, registration, discipline of doctors, of medical personnel is under the MDCN. Another one that I could mention, there are several others, but we just need to touch on important ones that are really big, is the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, which regulates the practice of nursing, their training, the institution that train them, the discipline of nurses and midwives is under the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. Another important one that regulates the engineering practice is COREN. The training, registration, discipline, control of practice of engineering profession in Nigeria is under COREN. the Council of Registered Engineers in Nigeria. Finally, the last but not the least is COBON, which regulates all activities pertaining to people in the building profession. Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria is the body that is responsible for the training, approving the institutions, discipline, scope of parties, code of ethics with the building profession in Nigeria. Having said all this, it is very important for anybody in business to be aware of the regulatory bodies guarding the area of the business. Otherwise, you're not able to take advantage of opportunities in the economy or be able to avoid pitfalls that can lead to punishment or even to commit infractions which are punishable by law. It is very, very important to keep this in mind. You need to pay your taxes, you need to file your annual returns, different things that have to be done depending on the sector of the economy where you operate. I want to believe that you have gained a thing or two from this presentation, and if that's so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my face on Facebook. It's been a pleasure bringing this to you today. Thank you very much.